and advertisers.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a great Halloween weekend out there. I know I did. It's good to see everybody. We have a quite the amount of, I guess you could say, plethora of guests this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun week. Ryan Shed's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes, by the way. Yes, I had an hour-long conversation yesterday with George Santos. He's going to be joining us on the show on Thursday. Looks like Marjorie Taylor, the real Marjorie Taylor Greene. I know when I say things, people think it's a impersonator, but I'm actually being truthful to this. The real Marjorie Taylor Greene is supposed to be coming on the show this week, so that's going to be very interesting as well. So George Santos, Marjorie Taylor Greene, some very interesting guests, no doubt. A lot to get to today. Kash Patel taking his government jet for a booty call. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. He got caught. We're going to talk about that. Nancy Mace having a run-in with TSA officers at an airport. She's losing her mind by the day. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And Mike Johnson, again, clueless, making lies up, making things up as he goes along day after day after day during this government shutdown. So as I mentioned, we certainly have a lot to talk about and there's certainly a lot to go over. So if you heard this story coming out of Arizona, this is so par for the course for MAGA Republicans. Group of math teachers over Halloween weekend are wearing bloody fake blood. Let me be very clear on that. Halloween costume, white shirts. Math teachers that say, problem solved. Nothing at all to do with Charlie Kirk. And how do we know this? Because last year they wore the exact same shirts. Well, it turns out that it was a farce, and all these big right-wing accounts like Riley Gaines, for example, is one of many. Ron DeSantis, people with, and the guy who started Turning Point USA started this conspiracy theory. It was wrong. It was a lie. It wasn't even really a conspiracy theory. It was just a flat-out lie. These math teachers wore the same shirts the year prior, way before Charlie Kirk's assassination, and I hope these teachers file lawsuits against Turning Point USA to talk to us about this. He lives in this district where this all went down. Of course, my good friend Ryan Shed, popular left-leaning podcaster, joining us right now on the program. Ryan, it's good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you doing?
I am doing okay. I am rejuvenated after a fun Halloween weekend.
Yes, sir.
This is so par for the course for MAGA, right, Ryan? Did I get that story right? Where these teachers, talk to me a little bit about the story, and then we'll get to the ramifications of what these teachers have had to go through because of these right-wing fools.
You know, it's as bad as you think it is, and worse, honestly. So for those of you who may not know, there's this photo, like you said, going around, and it's of some of our teachers here in Arizona, and more directly Tucson. And these shirts, if you go and look, they came on Temu, they're on Amazon, and if you go and look for the shirts, you'll see that the reviews are from a year, 2 years ago. So as he said, this isn't new, and it had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk, but it didn't stop all the right-wing grifters from latching onto it and doxing these people. There's literally memes going around of each teacher with their phone number and their full name, and they have yellow arrows going to each face, telling you which one. They're doxing them. So what really just spun me up was, as I'm looking at this last night, I'm seeing elected officials here in Arizona that are releasing these photos of their constituents. These are the people that potentially voted for them. And they're releasing them saying, oh my gosh, they're attacking Charlie Kirk, and this is so bad taste, and blah, 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 blah. And then I'm looking through stuff, and I actually had to eat crow, by the way. One of the gentlemen that sits on the Vail School Board is a Republican, and I believe he is a Trump supporter. He came out and posted it, and he said, this was from last year, this photo here. He's like, this has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. He's like, they've done this before. And it was just like, okay, so even Republicans now are coming out and trying to push back. And then all those big accounts, the Turning Point USA, Riley Gaines, so many of them, there are
Yeah.
a ton. All of a sudden they started backtracking and they're like, oh, well, okay, it might not have been, but it's still in bad taste after that happened. It's like, no, it wasn't. And my big question was for all the brain trust out there was, if it was about Charlie Kirk, can you point to where the gun wound or the bullet wound was in that particular costume? Because it seems like that would be a big part missing, right?
Yeah, you would think so if you're a logical human being. Here's my question now. With what these teachers have had to go through, as you mentioned, being doxxed, and this being an utter lie, my question is, where are the retractions? Like, the guy from Turning Point USA kind of gave a half-hearted retraction, but then was making it seem to be, this is promoting violence anyway. Dude, it's a Halloween costume. Does that mean if I walk around like Freddy Krueger, that means I'm condoning violence? Of course not. It's a Halloween costume, number one. And number two, Riley Gaines, Ron DeSantis, a governor of a state, has not retracted it.
Mike Lee of Utah. I'm telling you guys, like, huge Republican accounts releasing their information and basically saying, go get them, make them famous. When you say make them famous, that's a way of telling your following, go after them.
Yeah,
that's what it is. So let's call it what it is. You got 8 educators here in Arizona, which I don't know if you have been paying attention, but it's kind of hard to find good teachers, especially math teachers.
You're right about that.
You're literally putting these people in danger, and they're doing a job that is already more dangerous than it should be. They're doing active shooter drills, and now they got to worry about all these crazy Charlie Kirk people coming after them for something that had nothing to do with them.
So horrible.
It's insane.
Ryan, my next question to you is this. Do you feel like these teachers, these math teachers, these good people, do you feel like they now have a case? Because I would say you 100%. Should go after Turning Point. You should be filing lawsuits.
Not just Turning Point. They should be going after the state. I literally said in my post, I did a video about it, and I said 8 teachers are about to retire off of Arizona taxpayer dollars because of what these elected officials just did. You can't walk it back. You guys ran with something before you had the information, before you knew anything about it, and very evidently without doing any kind of research whatsoever, because literally if you just take you could phrase it any way you want. Bloody shirt that says problem solved, bloody shirt. Like, you can search it any way you want. It's going to pull up a crap ton of them, and it's going to be from years. So literally it took me 3 minutes to go in my little computer and figure out that they didn't even bother to go figure it out. They just saw a potential moment to grift off of them. And by the way, Fox News is still posting it like it hasn't been debunked for at least 24 hours.
I would sue Fox News too. I mean, I would sue
every single person that released the photo without censoring. And here's the other problem. So they're trying to say that the 2 photos are the same people. That's not true. The one photo, they had to censor some of the faces because I think 3 or 4 of the people in the photo from last year are no longer with the school. So they couldn't even identify that it was different people in the 2 photos.
And it's also fair to say their lives were put in danger, right? There's a lot of crazy people out there, right?
That's not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. You have literally put a target on those people's backs. You've released their photos publicly along with their full names and their phone numbers, which makes it extremely easy to follow them and do whatever you want to do. So these people are going to be harassed. They're going to be stalked, and it doesn't matter how many times we show them that it had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk, because unfortunately these people, no matter how much evidence you show them, they just don't get it. So can I just add real quick?
Sure.
If you are in the Tucson area, I implore you, I believe the next Vail School Board meeting is going to be November 11th at 7 p.m. I intend to be there. So if you are supporting these teachers, because you can bet your sweet butt that they're going to be there. These Charlie Kirk, they say, and they're going to go up to the microphone for their 3 or 5 minutes, and they're going to scream at the school board and tell them that they shouldn't have allowed it because it was in bad taste, 2 months after this dude. None of that matters because that's all their context, and they're projecting their feelings onto something that had nothing to do with them. So if you're in Tucson, please show up. It's going to be at 7 p.m. It's going to be the Vail School Board. It's right off of the highway. So it literally takes us 25 minutes to get there. Let's show up. Let's support these teachers because they're going to need it.
Isn't it interesting, though, that these are the same people that had no problem with Donald Trump Jr. posting a Halloween costume of a hammer and whitey tighty whiteys days after Paul Pelosi was bludgeoned with a hammer. But they had absolutely no problem with that, and they have no problem with Donald Trump's rhetoric and inciting violence at his rallies, which he's done in the past. But God forbid a bunch of teachers who have been doing this for years, by the way, wearing the same shirt that has absolutely nothing to do with Charlie Kirk, they are all of a sudden up in arms about this. These people have no credibility. It's gross.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, when you have an administration that is sending, military into cities, trying to take over National Guard and doing all the things they're doing, and now on top of that, you're attacking educators that we're struggling to find in the first place. That they don't get paid enough, they don't get the supplies they need, they don't get the mental health treatment support they need, dealing with all the stuff they got to deal with in the kids. Like, it's just insane to me. We got all this money to give $50,000 a year to unqualified ICE agents because they are paying to build up their personal military. But we can't seem to find $10,000, $5,000 to give a signing bonus, or maybe $1,000 a year for teachers so they can buy supplies. We can't manage to find money for that. But we sure can find money to start arresting people off the street with no warrants and masks on.
God, it's just the culture wars of the far right, and what they should be focused on, they're not focused on. The fact that we are still in a government shutdown, the fact that Mike Johnson and the Republicans are still blaming Democrats, even though they want to take away 20 million people off of Medicaid coverage in the big and beautiful bill. Millions and millions of people losing their food assistance and their SNAP benefits, but yet they still want to blame Democrats. And Democrats have been all along, they're not perfect, but they're fighting to allow people to keep their SNAP benefits, to keep their medical coverage. It's pretty night and day, if you ask me.
Well, it is. And why we got a little bit of good news this morning that the Trump administration is going to release some of the SNAP benefits. So I believe people are going to get about half their benefits, but it's going to be delayed. So it's like sort of good news, I guess. It's better than nothing, but it's not everything. And this feels like a very self-created problem at this point. Yeah. And so, another artificial, crisis contrived by the Trump administration. And the other one is they're going to go into, Nigeria for because they're Christians. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So literally, let me translate what that means real quick. We are literally, why we are starving Americans, we're literally about to start a religious war in Nigeria. When you say we're going to free the Christians, that is a religious war.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I completely agree with you. And while all this stuff is going on, it seems like there are new scandals every week, Ryan. I am going to be talking.
Dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I am going to. You're right. I am going to be talking about this in a few, but I want to just get your thoughts on this. It appears as though, correct me if I'm wrong, but Kash Patel literally took a government jet, his jet, FBI jet, whatever you want to call it, paid for by taxpayers, for a booty call so that he could hang out with his country singing girlfriend at some wrestling match. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. And the excuses are they're just worse and worse. He literally took the jet to go on a date.
Yeah, dude should have stopped talking definitely like 5 posts ago. Not surprising for those of us paying attention, unfortunately. Kash Patel is a yes man. He's a loyalist. He's been put there because he will do whatever Donald Trump and whoever in the administration will ask of him, because whatever they have on him is probably deep on top of his need for power, which is evident by this. He had to go, use a jet he shouldn't be using to fly a chick on. Like, dude, if you need to do that to get laid, like, fuck, like, it's insane to me how Trump supporters and Republicans at this point will literally turn their back or turn their cheek and just act like they don't see it or act like it's not a big deal when they literally weaponized all the same things against Kamala Harris and Democrats and Joe Biden and Obama. It's like, guys, you can't sit there and use these as weapons 1 minute and then turn around and say, oh, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way.
You're right.
If you're going to call out 60 Minutes for editing out Kamala Harris, then you better call out 60 Minutes for editing out Donald Trump.
That's
I
another
don't see
thing.
any of you doing that.
That's another thing that I was going to talk to you about. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what you were just alluding to is that they had on 60 Minutes an interview that was correct. I think it was like an hour and a half interview.
Hour and 17 minutes.
Hour, somewhere around that. Yeah. So it's an hour and 17-minute video, and they edited it, condensed it down to like 26 minutes, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
Where's the lawsuit?
they cut 2/3 out.
You can't make this stuff up. It's unbelievable.
Well, again, so Donald Trump sitting down for an interview that they did exactly what he got a settlement for. Like they literally did the same thing that Trump, got a settlement for. And again, ABC didn't lose in court. Let me be clear. They settled with Trump for some reason, and now they get these interviews with him and certain people from his administration. So it was clearly a quid pro quo, let's just get rid of this now and put it behind us kind of thing. And then you're going to do the exact same thing and think that nobody's going to notice.
It's just so ridiculous. And by the way, in that interview, we're going to play clips of it. Beyond outrageous. I don't know if you had an opportunity to check out The Daily Show, but they did a fun little segment on Mike Johnson, which was basically playing the clips of every single time Mike Johnson is asked a question about Donald Trump wrongdoing or lying, and every single time
about that.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know.
I didn't see it, but I knew that's what it was.
It was so funny, and he did it again this morning too.
I'll have to go check it out. I mean, exactly. He sat up there and gaslit the hell out of everybody, claimed that we're doing the gaslights. Like, you just listed off like everything that Donald Trump and you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Again, I cannot stress this enough. Democrats, hold the line. Continue what you're doing. You have so many people supporting you because we realize that you are fighting for health care. We realize these people don't really care, but most importantly, for those of you who still don't understand how government really works, the Republicans control everything right now. They control the House, they control the Senate, they control the White House, and let's be honest, they control the Supreme Court. So I don't quite, and today, this morning, in all caps, might I add, Donald Trump posted that it's time for them to get rid of the filibuster so that Donald Trump and the Republicans can protect Americans for good. Let me translate what that means for y'all. He wants to get rid of the filibuster now so he can do whatever the hell he wants without anybody stopping him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way pretty much he's lived his entire life. So it's certainly not shocking and not surprising to me, without question. Ryan, before I let you go, I want you to give out that information. You do a couple awesome podcasts, which I watch intently. Give out the information, how people can follow you on your YouTube page, on social media, and those two podcasts you got going.
Yeah, and before I go, just, thanks to the production team as always for doing the show and having us on. And I really look forward to what you have coming up this weekend.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be fun. So I definitely, please tune into that. It's Saturday, right?
Saturday in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
We've given out some tickets on the show. It's going to be live at a comedy club Saturday afternoon. I'm going to be debating Tim Pool, Myron Gaines, who I believe is anti-Semitic beyond belief and misogynistic, Alex Stein, and it's going to be an interesting debate for sure in front of a live audience. Yep.
Oh, yeah, man. I can't wait. So, but if you want to come check me out, you can head over to my YouTube channel. It's under my name, Ryan Shedd, Shead. And then right now we're really focused on our podcast, With All Due Respect, which I do with Marcus Flowers, who ran against Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia. So we always have a great conversation. We bring on good people. So come check out the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as always, Brian, thank you, sir, for having me on. Appreciate you.
You got it. Good to see you, Ryan. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care. That's Ryan Shedd, everybody. Great left-leaning podcaster. Check out those podcasts. They really are awesome. I have to ask my producer if we have to take a break or can we go to clips? Take a break? Okay. So my producer's giving me the break signal. So here's what we're going to do. By the way, the YouTube super chat, we'll be going to that as well. We have the other disgusted veteran who made a statement. MAGA Logic. F your feelings, but mind my feelings. Freedom, 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 but not your freedom. He is so right on that. You are so right on that. It's so ridiculous with these MAGA buffoons. All right, so here's what we're going to do. When we come back, Kash Patel using a government jet paid for by the American taxpayer for what? Is he doing some investigative work? No, it was for a booty call. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have the audio to prove that he is nothing but a hypocrite because he complained about the same thing happening with Chris Wray a couple years ago. We're going to play that audio for you. Also, Donald Trump has no idea, apparently, who the people are that he is pardoning. There's proof of that in the 60 Minutes interview. Maybe it was an auto pen. I don't know. But we'll be talking about that as well as Mike Johnson. And this is very interesting as well. Nancy Mace, the disgrace, apparently she stirred up a big scene going through TSA at an airport. Her explanation of it is outright ridiculous. We'll play that for you as well. We are also in the YouTube Super Chat where your questions and comments will be heard. As Lori just said, in the future, who are we going to believe with the far right taking over the media and the future of AI? Scary. Lori, it is scary, and we should be scared, and we need to call it out every single day. We're also on TikTok. The number to call is 702-221-7283. We will be taking phone calls on the other side of the break, but boy, we have a lot of precious audio to play for you when we come back. Kash Patel, the taxpayer paying for his booty call. Yes, that's right. We have the proof to show for you when we come back. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. These new stories that come out, obviously, you try to get information when we report news that's live, and we try to get it right, but we are receiving some reports that there is an active shooter and or shooters. We've been told possibly 2 suspects at University of Virginia on the college campus. They're an active shooter, so this is a situation where I hope we got it wrong, but there's a lot of reports going on social media and the Associated Press reporting that there's an active shooter and the entire college campus is on lockdown at the University of Virginia. We'll give you more information. That's the only information we have right now. It's literally happened in the last few moments. So any new information that we can share with you, we will. And obviously we hope that nobody is seriously injured or loses their life, and we hope the suspect or suspects are taken into custody. Again, any new information, we'll share it with you. There is at least 1, possibly 2 active shooters on the University of Virginia campus right now, and the entire campus is on lockdown. Some more information as we get it, we will report it to you live. Going back to the YouTube Super Chat, Immortal Suspects with a very generous donation says, Kash Patel eats corn the long way. Such a disgrace to the country, and to think we have 3 more years of this mess. Thank you, Brian, for all you do, brother. Well, thank you, Immortal. We appreciate your support of the show. Let's get right into this Kash Patel stuff. And as I mentioned, if we get any new information on this active shooter or shooters at the University of Virginia, we will share it to you live on the air. It's an ongoing story, and we're I'll tell you what, it reminds me of the Charlie Kirk stuff. I remember we were on the air, almost, a couple months ago, and the same thing happened where I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And then I saw the video, and I'm like, oh, my goodness. I mean, it happens. It seems like everything seems to happen when we're live on the air here. But we will bring it to you. The more information we get, we will share that with you. So as I mentioned, Kash Patel took a government jet paid for by the taxpayers for a booty call to hang out with his girlfriend, who is some country singer that I've never heard of before. Apparently, Kash Patel thinks she's the next Shania Twain, but that's beside the point. He took the plane out there to meet up with his girlfriend. I want you to listen to what Kash Patel said back in 2023 when it came to Chris Wray using a government-funded G5 jet to go on a vacation. This is what Kash Patel said about the same thing that he did the other day, talking about 2 years ago, what Chris Wray did.
And I'm not saying take all their funding. I'm not the defund everything guy. I'm just saying Chris Wray doesn't need a government-funded G5 jet to go to vacation. Maybe we ground that plane. $15,000 every time it takes off. Just a thought.
Minimum.
So that's what Kash Patel said about Chris Wray a couple of years ago. What I would like to know is which wrestling event his girlfriend will be singing the national anthem at, maybe next weekend. So we know where the FBI director, I guess, will be at with this government-funded jet. This is absolutely insane and it's ridiculous, and there needs to be an investigation into this. The problem is Donald Trump, none of his people will investigate this. You could take this plane anywhere you want, Kash Patel, because Donald Trump is the president of the United States. These people are such hypocrites. It's so despicable and it's so disgusting, and this should go out of Kash Patel's pocket. He literally is using a government-funded jet for a booty call. I mean, am I the only person that's upset about this? How grotesque this is, how disgusting this is? It's absolutely insane. Now, if you want to speak up about insane, the MAGA right constantly talking about Joe Biden's competency. By the way, they still do. Almost a year after he left office, they're still talking about the competency and the cover-up of Joe Biden and his health. Well, as you know, Donald Trump has pardoned a lot of people. And apparently this guy who he pardoned, who he and his entity and his company heavily involved in the crypto scandal that Donald Trump has been involved in, where his family has made an upwards of close to $1 billion. Chang Peng Zhao pled guilty back in 2023 of violating anti-money laundering laws. He got a pardon from Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump got something in return. The reporter on 60 Minutes asks Donald Trump about this, and listen to Donald Trump's lack of an answer.
So far this year, the president has pardoned or shortened the sentences of more than 1,600 people. The latest pardon was for a cryptocurrency tycoon who is known as CZ. The company CZ founded, Binance, helped boost the profile of the Trump family's crypto firm, World Liberty Financial. He pled guilty in 2023 to violating anti-money laundering laws. Right. The government at the time said that CZ had caused significant harm to U.S. national security, essentially by allowing terrorist groups like Hamas to move millions of dollars around. Why did you pardon him?
Okay, are you ready? I don't know who he is. I know he got a 4-month sentence or something like that, and I heard it was a Biden witch hunt.
In 2025, his crypto exchange Binance helped facilitate a $2 billion purchase of World Liberty Financial's stablecoin. And then you pardoned CZ. How do you address the appearance of pay for play?
Well, here's the thing. I know nothing about it because I'm too busy doing the other.
But he got a pardon.
No, I can only tell you this. My sons are into it. I'm glad they are because it's probably a great industry, crypto. I think it's good. They're running a business. They're not in government.
World Liberty Financial has denied any involvement in the pardon.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I want you guys to keep this in mind. Of course, this is pay for play. This is the guy, Donald J. Trump, who helped set your crypto company up for you, helped secure major foreign investors, and made you and your sons over $1 billion. This is the guy that he pardoned that have invested heavily in his crypto scheme and has enriched his family. Now, that's just one side of this equation, right? That's one side of the corruption. The other side of this is the fact that he claims, and I think he's lying, but imagine if he was telling the truth, which I don't believe he is, he knows nothing about this. He gives somebody a pardon and he doesn't know anything about this guy. Imagine if Joe Biden made a statement like that and he was asked about somebody who he had pardoned, who helped enrich his family, and in return he gives somebody a pardon. And then Joe Biden's response is, well, I don't know anything about it. Are you ready? I don't know anything about this. The right would be leading with this story for years. Well, Manu Raju asked Mike Johnson a question in the press conference this morning about this very answer that Donald Trump gave. I don't know anything about this guy. And remember, last week it was Mike Johnson that was very critical of Joe Biden. And Mike Johnson said he didn't know who he was pardoning. That's exactly what Donald Trump just said on 60 Minutes. And Mike Johnson does what he always does, dodge the question. I don't know anything about it. Have a listen to this.
Questions. Manu, you get it first every time. This is not fair.
Last week, you came here to these mics, and you were very critical of Joe Biden's use of the auto pen, his pardon. You said he didn't even know who he was pardoning. But last night on 60 Minutes, President Trump, admitted not knowing he pardoned a crypto billionaire who pleaded guilty to money laundering. Does that also concern you?
I don't know anything about that. I didn't see the interview. You have to ask the president about that. I'm not sure. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure. I don't know anything about that. You'll have to ask the president about that. I didn't see it. He doesn't know anything about that, but he seems to know everything about who Joe Biden pardoned. But when it comes to somebody who Donald Trump pardoned, who actually invested tons of money in his crypto scheme, enriching his family, probably billions of dollars, and then all of a sudden gets a magical pardon, all of a sudden Mike Johnson plays dumb, and he doesn't know anything about that. Well, guess what? We have a little mix of Mike Johnson, compliments of Jon Stewart. It seems as though Mike Johnson doesn't know anything when it comes to Donald Trump and all the scandals, Donald Trump and the unlawful activity, Donald Trump and all the hypocrisy put forth by the right, blaming the left. Mike Johnson doesn't know anything about that. Have a listen to this.
How comfortable are you with the president apparently seeking $230 million from the Department of Justice?
I don't know the details about that. I've just read it.
I don't know. I've never seen the Epstein evidence. It wasn't in my lane.
I don't know anything about the mean coin thing. I don't know.
I don't know anything about the dinner. I was a little busy this past week, as you know.
I'm not following all the twists and turns of the Qatar jet. I haven't looked into the details of the RSC budget. There's lots of nuances. That's the first I've heard of that. I don't know anything about it. I have not heard or looked into any of the details of that. I've been a little busy. I haven't seen the specifics of that, and I don't know. I don't know the details. I just saw a headline this morning. I don't know what you're talking about with the children. Look, I'm not going to make any detailed statement on this because I don't know the details. I've been very busy the last 48 hours or so.
That performance in front of the generals? That
I didn't see it.
is so dangerous.
I haven't seen it. I can't comment on it. I've been a little busy with it. That's not my lane. I don't know. I don't know anything about it yet. I've been really busy, as you probably noticed. I don't know what Eric was saying because I only heard just a snippet there. I don't know the context.
You just saw it,
Eric.
sir.
I don't know anything about that. I don't know. I don't know anything. I mean, that's just like, those clips are just the last few months. He's been doing this for a very long time. I think we need to keep playing that and just add it to the repertoire of I don't know anything about it, and just keep doing it. It's going to be like 20 minutes long by the end of Donald Trump's tenure. But this is who Mike Johnson is. He doesn't know. Knows everything about the Hunter Biden laptop, knows everything about Hunter Biden selling paintings, knows everything about the Biden administration, knows everything about what the time of day that every Democrat goes to the bathroom. But when it comes to Donald Trump and all the scandals, which are literally every single day, he doesn't know anything about that. He doesn't see the interview. He doesn't know. And then Mike Johnson goes on making the claim that he's working hard, that the Republicans and he is working very, very hard in their districts serving constituents. I want you guys to keep in mind that he has kept them home for now nearly 2 months. But here's Mike Johnson in front of a podium today talking about how hard he and all these Republicans are working for their constituents. Have a listen to this.
In these elections, maybe after tomorrow, they'll come to their common senses again and do the right thing. We certainly pray that is true. And Republicans will be on the job every single day, serving our constituents, helping guide them through the chaos that the Democrat shutdown has created, and praying that they do the right thing and stop making the American people suffer because of this nonsense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're working really hard. We've kept you guys home for 2 months, but we're working really hard. 2-month vacation, but we're working hard for our constituents. You frickin' lying scumbag, you. What a joke. Going back to this 60 Minutes interview that Donald Trump did, which was off the wall crazy. By the way, it was an hour and 17 minutes, this interview. They edited it down to 27 minutes. Do you remember when Donald Trump was filing lawsuits because he claimed, look at all the editing they did for this Kamala Harris interview, a 117-minute interview that was cut down to 27 minutes. Why won't 60 Minutes play the entire interview? Should we all sue 60 Minutes? Maybe we all should file a class action lawsuit against 60 Minutes. I want you to listen to Donald Trump here as his MAGA supporters still say he's the man of the people. I want you to listen to this clip about the stock market and tell me after you listen to this clip if you still think Donald Trump is the quote-unquote man of the people.
Just hit an all-time high. We're doing really well.
Can I ask you, Mr. President, on that point, though, when the stock market is doing well, that doesn't affect everybody. Not everybody's invested in the stock market.
It does.
But there have been grocery prices
are up. 401ks. People have 401ks. Their 401ks are double what they were a year ago.
But for people that don't have 401ks or are not invested in the stock market, but they've seen their grocery prices go up, inflation.
No, you're wrong. They went up under Biden. Right now, they're going down, other than beef, which we're working on, which we can solve very quickly.
Okay, so that's a lie. Beef is not the only thing that's gone up in the supermarket. The president, once again, is lying to the American people. And whenever you hear them talk about the economy, they only seem to want to talk about the stock market. That's all they want to talk about. And she's correct when she said not everybody has a 401k. These are lies. And by the way, your 401ks have not doubled. That's also a lie. Everything this guy says is a lie. Everything is headed in the wrong direction virtually, and he's lying to the American people. And sadly, the people that voted for him, including everybody else, are suffering because of it. Now, I don't necessarily agree when some people say that Zohran Mamdani is, he's got some identical personality traits to Donald Trump. I would tend to disagree with that. Listen, I don't always agree with Mamdani, but I do believe him when he does care about the cost of housing. I do believe he wants to help people that are struggling. I don't always agree with everything he says, but I don't think he's the monster that some people on the right are making him out to be. But, when you really don't have a lot to attack this guy on, what does Donald Trump do? He does what he always does. He talks about his looks. And then, it's very strange because you see all these memes on social media of Donald Trump being Superman from these sicko cultist Trump supporters. When we know that Donald Trump is a morbidly obese man that is tremendously, I'll use his term, tremendously out of shape. I don't think to this day we've ever seen Donald Trump with his shirt off. Not that that's something that I want to see, but at least Joe Biden is comfortable enough to do it on the beach. Donald Trump would probably look like a beached whale, and I would imagine that's probably the reason why he doesn't want to take his shirt off. But anyway, here's Donald Trump in this 60-minute interview. The President of the United States claiming that he's much better looking than Zohran Mamdani. Have a listen to this.
With state and local elections coming up Tuesday, we asked the president about the highly anticipated mayoral race that includes former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani.
Zohran Mamdani, 34-year-old Democratic socialist. He's the
communist, not socialist, communist. He's far worse than a socialist.
Some people have compared him to a left-wing version of you, charismatic, breaking the old rules. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I'm a much better looking person than him, right?
Yeah, I'm sure most women would agree. I can guarantee you the first person in line that would probably disagree with that statement would be Melania Trump and every other woman that he's cheated on. But regardless, I mean, listen, if that's your type, if women and men out there are more attracted to an obese 79-year-old senile man who wakes up in the morning and puts on 8 layers of orange makeup, who's had 4 hair transplants, fake teeth, can't even swing a golf club, if that's the guy that you're attracted to who dodged the military multiple times, then so be it. I'm a straight white male, but I can tell you that I could look at Mamdani and say, yeah, he's a good-looking guy. He's in good shape, a good-looking dude, handsome guy. I could say that. But anyway, that's beside the point. Here's an example of what it is like to be a leader, and here's an example of what it is like to set a standard when you're a politician or when you're trying to be a politician, in this case, the mayor in New York City. Listen to Zohran Mamdani when he's asked about this and the responsible and professional answer that he gives.
Assemblyman, any response to President Trump saying he was better looking than you?
My focus is on the cost of living crisis, bro.
There you go. He laughs because it is ridiculous, and he gives an appropriate response. That is what we would call leadership, professionalism, maturity, and that will help him win. But that is the way someone should respond to that. Don't go into the weeds. That's my job, to be immature. Don't go into the weeds when you're trying to win office, because that's what Donald Trump wants you to do. Don't do that. He answered that question exactly the way he should have. So I mentioned this on the Tim Pool show a few weeks ago, and the response I got from Tim Pool was mesmerizing. But I make a very basic and, in my opinion, prevalent statement about how MAGA Republicans, Donald Trump especially, has been complaining about Obamacare for the last 9 years. Now, if you have a young child and the child is complaining about something, then you would say, well, what's your solution, right? I think most people would agree with that. Even in politics, right? Even more important, when you complain about something, we want to know what your solutions are. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be talking about the economy. It could be talking about violence, policing, you name it, any topic. When you complain about something, what do you want to do to try to fix something that you think is a problem? In this case, it would be Obamacare. Again, Donald Trump has been complaining about it for 9 years. We're going to get the replacement plan in 2 weeks. We're going to get it in a month. We heard that in Donald Trump's first tenure. The replacement plan never came. We heard they had concepts of a plan. So what I said to Tim Pool is I said, why would you want someone to be the president who's been complaining about something which is one of the top 3 issues on everybody's mind when you poll people? Usually it's abortion, it's health care. Those two can kind of go toe-to-toe. The economy. These are the top issues that Americans are concerned about. And I said, how could you support a guy, and you okay with a guy, who's been complaining about Obamacare for years, 9 years, even when he wasn't president, he still could have come up with some sort of plan if he got back into office, which he did, and there's no replacement plan. I said, are you okay supporting this guy? And he said, yeah. And I said, why? Well, the president can't solve every problem. I'm not saying Donald Trump has to solve the problem. I'm saying, why don't you come up with some solutions and then debate it? He hasn't come up with anything. I want you to listen to this lame brain right-wing fool known as Representative Jeff Van Drew on Republicans' health care plan. He's asked about it on national television. Hey, what's the plan? Where's the health care plan? Listen to his response.
But are you concerned about the backlash from voters if the GOP does not come up with a plan here?
Yeah, it is politically stupid. It does not make sense to come up with no plan dealing with health care. That's real. That really helps people. And this is, let me explain something. I'm a conservative, and there's a lot of conservatives in the Republican Party, but just like Trump is, I really believe he is, whether you like him or not, a populist conservative that cares about real people. You can't be the party you know. You can't take health care away from people. You have to have a plan, and the plan is to come up with something better. That's not going to happen in a few weeks. That's going to take a good part of the year to have something substantive and real that works, and we can do that.
So the plan is to come up with something better. Oh, that sounds like a great plan. He's had 9 years. He's had 9 years to come up with something better. Is that a serious policymaker? Let me repeat, 9 years. You can say, well, Brian, what are you talking about? Since he got into office, and then the 4 years that Joe Biden was president, what was he doing? You could have met with some people and come up with something, a plan. He's got no plan for anything, except for pardoning a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists, attacking brown people, having agents all over the country tackle people and deport people, many of whom are nonviolent criminals. That's his plan. And give $100 billion in tax cut per year for the top 1%. That's his plan. And lie about the Middle East. There's peace in the Middle East. The war is over. No, it's not. I'm going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. No, you didn't. What the hell is his plan other than make rich people in this country even more rich? To throw scams out there, to dump a part of the White House, to put some stupid ballroom in there where some of his supporters donated the money, and now he's going to profit off it and probably lease it out for bar mitzvahs. What the hell is his plan other than to play golf at Mar-a-Lago 4 days a week? Because that's what he did again over the weekend, by the way. He's on vacation. Every week he's playing golf, taxpayer dollar, because he does it at Mar-a-Lago. He hangs out and stays at Mar-a-Lago, then he'll go play at Doral Golf Course, another golf course that he owns. Our tax dollars paying for that. And if he's not making $1 billion off of this crypto scandal, giving people pardons that throw money at his family. The plan is to come up with something better. What has he been doing for the last 9 years, Representative Drew? What has he been doing? Except sitting on his ass and on Truth Social. What the hell has he been doing? Except eating KFC and cheating on the golf course. It's a joke. Speaking of jokes, let's talk about Nancy Mace, the disgrace, for a moment. So Nancy Mace on Piers Morgan claimed that I was part of the problem and I was part of the reason why Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Obviously, it's a ridiculous statement. Nancy Mace is somebody that needs a lot of therapy, and I think she, by the way, I'm being serious here when I say crazy. I think Nancy Mace needs to be put in a facility and get help. She is mentally deranged, she's dangerous, and she needs help. I mean that. Like, there are people out there that are just horrible people and you can't help them, like Caroline the Liar Levette. I wouldn't say she should be in an institution, maybe jail, but there's no helping her. She's just an awful human being. I don't think Nancy Mace is a good person, but I would say that Nancy Mace has a lot of mental issues that she needs to deal with. She really is a nut job. So apparently, she had an airport meltdown over the weekend. And she was going through TSA. Witnesses say that she was screaming at the top of her lungs with law enforcement and with TSA agents. We still don't know why, because she was able to go through the TSA just fine. But she just lost her mind, and she's claiming she had another incident where somebody was following her at an airport. By the way, there's no record of that. She also claims in every single interview that she was the victim of abuse, sexual abuse. Again, I like to believe victims, but one of those that I do not believe, because I don't think Nancy Mace is a victim, even though she plays one on TV every single day. So this is really something else, ladies and gentlemen. The back and forth here, claiming that she's being harassed at airports, screaming at TSA agents at an airport over the weekend, and listen to her excuse and response to that. Remember, this is an elected official. This is an elected official who should be representing the people, and she's embarrassing herself having airport meltdowns. By the way, this isn't the first airport meltdown that she had. This is her, in her own words, trying to defend her despicable behavior, ladies and gentlemen. Here she is, Nancy Mace, the disgrace.
Before you go, there are reports that you were involved in a heated confrontation with airport police and TSA agents at the Charleston International Airport Thursday. You posted this on X. TSA wouldn't let me through. So what happened?
Well, one of the rumors last week was that I was blocked by TSA, which was not, in fact, true. Yes, I did have an interaction on Thursday. I want to be very clear here. We saw last year 2 assassination attempts on President Trump. Just a few weeks ago, we all witnessed as Charlie Kirk was assassinated right before our eyes in public. We've seen that Steve Scalise years ago was shot, 4 or 5 times. And in the political environment we have today, there's no room for error when it comes to security. I have at this particular airport and no other. This is the only airport where I have any issues, but my children have had issues here, my employees, but we have had over 24 security breaches at this particular airport just 11 months into this year today. I've been in 4 airports in the last 5 days without incident. So yes, I did confront those who did not show up to do the job. My safety was put at risk. I have had incidences at airports. I had an incident in Chicago earlier this year where a man followed me through the airport, and the Chicago airport security was very swift to ensure that I was safe and get that individual out of there. I had other incidences where someone tried to physically have an altercation with me at one of the D.C. airports. I'm grateful to the Capitol Police for stepping in, but this is a serious issue, and mediocrity when it comes to airport security and security breaches will not be tolerated when I'm governor and not when I'm in Congress for nobody.
But so why wouldn't they let you through? That's the part that I'm not quite understanding here. What was their reasoning?
They did let me through. I was let through.
Okay,
yeah, I was let through. Right. But there's a federal process under TSA rules that require federal officials to have law enforcement personally escort us through the crew member line. So there's a process. I waited patiently. I asked for assistance from TSA. They were very helpful. And so we did it eventually. But you know, what the Charleston Airport did was also release details about the vehicle that I was dropped off at, putting my safety at risk on Thursday. They released details on where I get dropped off at the airport by releasing video. It's all scary for an individual. I have more than 1,300 death threats a year. And so I take my security very, very seriously. I don't want to be the next person that gets shot and killed.
And and to be clear, other elected officials have used that crew member line, and
all
so
the time.
So this is why. So maybe you're feeling you were maybe targeted by these agents, and it was unfair.
Oh, I absolutely have been targeted at this airport. But thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Okay, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, thank you for explaining that.
Thanks, Nancy. By the way, is there any evidence that she was targeted? Absolutely not. Nobody lost their job. Nobody was suspended. There's no report that they did any wrongdoing. There's Nancy Mace playing the victim once again. By the way, I don't believe her when she said she had all those death threats. I don't believe her either. Show me the evidence. She claims that she was the victim of assault back in the day. No evidence. She claims here that somehow she was targeted by TSA agents. Zero evidence. Everything she claims, there's literally zero evidence to back up anything she says. Anything. But yet she plays the victim again. No, let me tell you what I believe happened. She shows up at the airport. She's not getting the preferential treatment, first-class VIP treatment that she wants. She gets treated like everybody else, and then she throws a hissy fit because I'm Nancy Mace, and I deserve this, and I deserve that. I deserve to cut in front of the line. Well, Miss Mace, why do you deserve to cut in front of the line? I deserve to cut in front of the line because I'm Nancy Mace. No, that's not how this country works. You want some security, you could have security. You shouldn't be able to cut in front of the line just because you're an elected official. I think she had a hissy fit. She didn't like it, and she ended up, simply put, playing the victim and attacking these TSA agents, by the way, because of people like Nancy Mace who have not gotten their paycheck during a government shutdown. But she has the audacity to attack these TSA agents verbally. Witnesses say screaming. This is the same moron who in the chambers shook somebody's hand and then claimed that she was assaulted. By the way, those charges were dropped on a guy who just shook her hand, and then she wore an arm sling into the halls of Congress the next day. And then that arm sling mysteriously disappeared later in the day. Nancy Mace is a liar. I don't believe she was ever the victim of abuse. There's no evidence of that. But then again, Nancy Mace is the same person who apparently doesn't believe the 25-plus women who have accused Donald Trump of abuse. But she doesn't want to believe any of those people because she supports Donald Trump, the guy who is probably, according to the Wall Street Journal, in the Epstein files. Nancy Mace, the disgrace. Let me be very clear on this, Nancy. Nancy Mace, you belong in a mental institution. You are deranged. You have mental illness, and you should have no bearing anywhere near an elected position. You are a disgrace to this country. You are an embarrassment. You'll tweet 200 times in one day about transgenders in bathrooms, but then when there's a school massacre, one tweet that says thoughts and prayers. You are a disgrace. Nancy Mace, the disgrace, who has dodged going on this show, but has no problem going on Piers Morgan and attacking me and saying I'm part of the problem and the reason why we have political violence. It couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, I'm the opposite of that. You are a moron. And yes, if I saw you somewhere in public, I would say that to your face. And then you could say, oh my God, you're harassing me. You're doing this to me. You're doing that to me. Guess what? I have the First Amendment right to do that, just like you have the First Amendment right to lie, sadly, and blame TSA agents for your hissy fit. Your behavior is that worse than a 5-year-old, and I am sick of you. Going to the YouTube Super Chat where your questions and comments can be read live on the air here. Well, they will be read live on the air. Maris, thank you for your donation. Says, Madani as social democracy are boring, but only ever time. Safe the use of natural resources, strong welfare state, high trust education, gender equality, efficient governance, stable economy, security, and sustainable development. Well, I agree with you, Marie. I have no problem with Madani. I've never been one to call him an anti-Semite. I have never been one to, call him any names or anything like that. While I don't know a lot about him, I do believe that he cares about the American people. I do believe that he does. I absolutely believe that. I do. All In also says when DJT says he knows everything about something, he knows nothing. When he says he knows nothing, he knows everything. Well, you're right about that. He knows everything, doesn't he? He's a very intelligent, high IQ guy, and everybody else is stupid. It really is insane. All right, number to call now if you want to be a part of the show. There's a lot of people on social media that say a lot of things, but yet they don't have the cojones to call into this show and actually have a debate with me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here I am. It's your chance to call into a syndicated radio show, a political talk show, and tell me why you disagree with me. Now, we've been talking about a lot of issues, and the number to call, by the way, is 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. It's so funny because I get some of the sicko fans, the Tim Pool sicko fans that say, Tim Pool destroyed you, but yet they're not willing really to call into a show and have a conversation with me. I'm happy to talk to them and ask them why they think that way. By the way, I'll be debating Tim Pool again this weekend. So, a lot of people on the left or people that disagree with him do not get invited back. I have been invited back. 702-221-7283. So there's a lot of things that we've been talking about today, and I want to get your calls here in just a few. 702-221-SAVE for all the warriors out there on social media that want to talk a lot, but then, don't want to call into a live radio show. Maybe they don't have the brain wherewithal. I certainly understand that, but you're welcome to call in now and state your case. So we are talking about a lot of different topics today. I'm wondering what you make of these math teachers in Arizona, who the founder of Turning Point USA, or the guy that's running Turning Point USA, obviously Charlie Kirk was the founder. The guy running Turning Point USA puts out a tweet claiming that these math teachers wearing these Halloween outfits that says problem solved with fake blood, somehow related to Charlie Kirk. And then the right-wing idiots took that on. Riley Gaines, who I think is a complete grifting imbecile. Ron DeSantis, who is just a vile human being. The governor of a state puts millions of views calling out these teachers and people calling for them to be fired, putting their lives at stake, when these same teachers were wearing the exact same shirt a year ago. You don't see the retractions. You don't see the apologies. Nothing. I hope they get sued for every dollar that they have. These morons in Turning Point USA take every single dollar from these people. It really is despicable. So we're talking about that. I want to get your thoughts on that. Kash Patel, taxpayer dollar paying for his booty call, for lack of a better term. That's right. He took a government jet. That's exactly what he did. He took a government jet paid for by taxpayers. That's what he did. And it was to see his girlfriend sing, country singer. I want to get your thoughts on that as well. Oh, yeah. And Donald Trump is now claiming this guy, CZ, who pled guilty in 2023 for violating anti-money laundering laws. Donald Trump doesn't know anything about it, even though this was the same guy who put tons of money into his crypto scandal. And then all of a sudden, his company does that. And then all of a sudden, he gets a pardon. I find that to be quite interesting, but Mike Johnson doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't know anything about anything. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Casey. Casey is first up on PTL. What's up, Casey?
Hey, good to talk to you again. I was listening to your being in monologue about the law, basically lawlessness is what's going on. And to be honest with you, it's actually showing how corrupt not only our government is, okay, and just our judicial system, everything. The court's going to be so backed up with all the lawlessness that this man has committed. And all it's going to look like when the Democrats take an office is it's going to make them look bad that now they're going after him. You know what I'm saying? Like, they need to, but this is like, I'm embarrassed to be an American, Brian. I honestly can't believe how this man is destroying our country, destroying our judicial system's always been corrupt to a certain aspect, but the fact of the matter, I don't think Americans even care. I don't think they even care.
I think some of them do. I'd like to think that most of them do care. I think the people who voted for Donald Trump, so many of them in this country, are so complicit. They're so ill-informed. Maybe they don't care, but they're going to start caring if they haven't already, when they lose their health care coverage or their premiums go up 2-3 times. Then they might start caring. These farmers, right, who have lost their livelihood. You would think they would start caring when that happens, right? But I don't know. Maybe you're right.
But Brian, hear me out. They didn't care about Roe.
Okay, they didn't care that he was 94 felonies, was a sexual abuser. America didn't care. I mean, so why would they care about the corruption this man is doing?
You're right. The excuses I hear from the right, and I will bring Tim Pool into this equation because, you know, the argument that he tried to make to me about the 34 felony counts is, well, you don't know anything about the case. Even if that's true, and I don't know anything about it, a jury still found him guilty. It doesn't change whether Brian Shapiro knows everything about every count. Yeah, I have a basic understanding of what it was involving Stormy Daniels and the $130,000 hush payment involving, misappropriation of funds and fraud. But it doesn't matter whether I know the ins and outs of the case, and it doesn't matter whether Tim Pool or right-wingers think, oh, he's not really a felon. The fact of the matter is a jury of his peers who had more evidence than any of us saw found him guilty. That's the only point that I was trying to make, just like I talk about the liable abuse of E. Jean Carroll. Jury found him liable. It doesn't matter whether I know the ins and outs of the case. You can disagree with the outcome. You can say that, well, it shouldn't have been brought into court in the first place. You shouldn't have been charged. Okay, fine. We can have that discussion, but that's not the discussion that I was having with Tim Pool. The discussion I was having with Tim, and by the way, I've had this discussion with many other Trump sicko fans, is that it doesn't matter whether you think this is the system that we have in place. We have a jury, and the jury makes a decision whether you're guilty or not, or if it's going to be a hung jury. We have a system put in place. Whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that he's found guilty.
But do you think people are going to go to the voting booth in midterms in 2028? Yeah, he was doing Bitcoin under, embezzling money. Do you think people are really going to care about that, Brian?
Listen, I think some will. 2026 you're talking about. Yeah, because you talked about the midterms. Here's what I will say. Here's what I will say, and you probably will agree with me, but you're not going to like it. Neither do I. There are a group of people that are Trump sicko fans in this country where Donald Trump could molest somebody, a child, on video, and they would still vote for him. There are people in this country that are so despicable, they have no low. It just keeps going lower and lower and lower. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump does. He could deploy the National Guard into every state, every city in this country. And Israel could bomb every single country in the world. And if Donald Trump still supported Benjamin Netanyahu, that would still be the same, my friend. I appreciate your call. These are sicko fans, and that's why I call it a cult. It is a cult. And Tim Pool said I was a cultist. No, I'm not. You never saw me with a sign on the back of my pickup truck that said malarkey. You never saw me decked out in Kamala Harris gear. No, because I'm not a cultist to any politician. I could support a politician, but I'm not a cultist, okay? I don't show up in all that gear like someone would show up to like at a Rolling Stones concert. No, I'm not a cultist. I'm not somebody like these MAGA buffoons who buy the Trump Bibles, who buy pieces of Donald Trump's alleged jacket when he was indicted, people that buy Donald Trump trading cards. No, I'm not a cultist. I'm a realist is what I am. I'm a realist and an independent thinker. And I can tell you beyond the shadow of a doubt that Donald Trump is a horrible human being. I can tell you beyond the shadow of a doubt that Charlie Kirk was a horrible human being. And I can back it up with facts, things that they've said and things that they've done. I am not a cultist. I am not a Democrat. Certainly lean to the left on social issues, but I am not a cultist. I tell the truth on this show and I share opinions on this show. And yes, there are some people that will disagree with me, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean I'm a cultist. Nobody is paying me to say certain opinions on the radio. This is all me. I don't take Russian money. I don't take money from adversaries, foreign adversaries. No, I don't. And I would never spread Russian propaganda. I would never spread any type of propaganda intentionally just to make money. That's what they do on the right. That's what they did with these teachers, these math teachers who are, as far as I can see, good people who are just having fun with their Halloween costumes, which they do every year, wearing a shirt with some fake blood on it. And all of a sudden, these idiots at Turning Point and these morons like Riley Gaines and Ron DeSantis, these just awful, vile people spread lies about people. And I am sick of it. I am sick of it. I am sick of people on the right that continue to lie and spread conspiracy theories. And then time and time again, when they're proven wrong, not only do they not apologize, but they don't even retract. It is insane and it is embarrassing. And these people are some of the worst that America has to offer, period. Disagree with me? Give me a call. 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Ken. Ken is next up on PTL. Hello, Ken.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up, Ken?
Oh, I'm talking about health insurance or the lack of. I just lost all mine, or gonna lose it.
I'm so sorry. What type of medical coverage do you have?
I
Lower your radio, my friend. Lower your radio. If you
Hold
can.
on, yes.
Yeah, please do
There
that because we are on a little bit of a delay here, so that'll confuse you a little bit. All right, go ahead, my friend. What's on your mind?
My AARP Medicare is leaving the state. Okay.
Yeah.
And even the one I was going to replace it with, they're also leaving my area. I live in a red part of Blue, New Hampshire, and they're all doing what Trump's dad should have done and pulling out on me.
That's funny.
Okay.
That's funny.
So do I send my medical bills to the RNC care or right to Trump, or where do I send my medical bills? Because I'm 63, 64 if you count when Dad left me off at Mom's. If you're a pro-lifer,
I hate to give you this kind of advice, my friend, but if you
I'm
can't,
screwed.
no, you're not. If you can't afford to pay your medical bills, then you can't pay them. Now, it very well could affect your credit, but I don't know how old you are, sir. I don't know if you own your own home, but maybe that's not the most important thing to worry about. Right now, your health is number one. So you're going to get more stressed out. It's going to hurt your health further when you start worried about paying your bills. Don't. Your medical bills specifically. Don't.
Well, I've got just enough herbal help, but I take 30 pills a day.
Yeah.
And one of my doctors at Dartmouth Hitchcock, one of the best medical centers, okay, he's Indian, okay?
Yep.
And he may get deported.
Well, I hear those stories everywhere.
He's out of my network as well.
I hear those stories everywhere. If you don't mind me asking, sir, how old are you?
63, 64,
okay,
when Dad left me off of Mom's.
How many years have you been working and paying taxes?
43.
So this is what I'm talking
We're
about.
two full-time jobs plus a fireman.
Oh, wow. God bless you, sir, for being a hero. I think firemen are heroes. 43 years this gentleman on the line has been working and paying his taxes. Are you telling me in the richest country in the world we can't take care of this guy and we can't get him the medical benefits that surely he deserves? But yet we should be giving $100 billion tax breaks to the top 1% every year. But a gentleman like this guy, who's a hero, who's a former firefighter, who has been paying his taxes for 43 years, and now he has to be sitting at his home right now listening to this show, which I'm glad he's doing, and worried about how he's going to pay his medical bills. Is that the country that you want to live in? That's not the country that I want to live in. This gentleman is a perfect example of somebody that worked hard his entire life, that paid his due, that paid his taxes. These are his golden years, and he should be enjoying himself. And instead, Donald Trump is going to take his health care away. I'm sorry, but that's not the country that I want to live in.
A year ago,
yeah.
A year ago, I got an ulcer from my pain meds, and I ended up from one hospital to another with Life Flight. It was $85,000 total bill.
Wow.
My part of it was only $1,800. I'm so thankful for that.
And was that under Obamacare?
That was under Obamacare.
Well, look at that.
Medicare.
Look at that. Obamacare can actually help people for all these right-wing turds out there. Well, sir, let me say this in closing real quick, if I may. I think, not just myself, but we should all be fighting for people like you. You sound like a good man. You've worked hard your entire life as a former firefighter, which, by the way, I appreciate very much. You've paid your taxes. You're a good man. You should not have to be worried about paying your medical bills. We live in the richest country in the world. You should be taken care of. But that's what Republicans want to do. They want people like you to suffer so they could line up their pockets. Well, Brian, what do you mean by that? What do you mean they're lining up their pockets? $100 billion in tax cuts for the top 1% this year. That's what I mean by lining up their pockets. Sir, I feel for you. Try not to be too stressed out. I know that's hard. What's the worst thing that can happen right now? You're not able to pay your medical bills. You still get the care that you need, hopefully. And then hopefully Republicans could get their heads out of their asses and do something to help you. I don't know what else to say, except we're fighting for you. The Democrats are fighting for you. And the Republicans and Mike Johnson just want to sit on it so that the Epstein files don't get released. Thank you, my friend, for your phone call. And I really do appreciate you so much. again, for you people on social media that have no problem bashing me, for you people on social media, on all forms of social media that think I'm wrong, again, these are the same people that don't have the intellectual brain power to call into a live radio show, but they'll put out their 3 or 4 words and use their little Trump fingers. But that's okay. For those of you that are not cowards, the number is 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283 if you'd like to get into a little political battle with me. Let's go to Pez. Pez is next up on PTL. What's up, Pez?
Oh, Brian, I had to go back to the Nora O'Donnell interview just to fact check a couple things that I saw. I think she was probably the wrong person to do the interview. She was kind of powder puff.
Mm-hmm.
But just for the record, during that case, Binance, the company, pled guilty. The individual that Trump pardoned pled guilty, and yet he had the nerve to call it a Biden witch hunt. So I just wanted to call that out.
That was a plea. You're talking about Changpeng Zhao, who pled guilty back in 2023 to violating anti-money laundering laws. And then all of a sudden, when Trump becomes president, his company puts in boatloads of money to his crypto scandal, and then magically he gets a pardon. I find that a little bit coincidental, don't you?
Well, they also gave his sons $2 billion when they bought the World Liberty Financial bogus coin.
Right.
So that was very similar to what happened with Jared Kushner. It's pay to play, plain and simple. And I just hope that you and I both live long enough to see these people all come to justice for the crimes, the plundering, the graft.
Yep.
Just unbelievable. The guardrails that everybody thought was in place are not there.
You're right. So you brought up Jared Kushner. Let's talk about that doofus real quick, the stiff. So Jared Kushner, who's never done anything positive in his life, the only reason why he got into Harvard was because his father donated $5 million to Harvard. He's a complete ignoramus who burns his father's money. Let's be very clear on that. He gets a job, a very high-profile job within the Trump administration, and Donald Trump doesn't put Mike Pompeo out there to Saudi Arabia. No, in the last several months of Donald Trump's first administration, what does he do? He sends Jared Kushner, and Jared Kushner comes back with a $2.1 billion check from the Saudis. And it is incredible to me, the corruption at the highest of levels within Donald Trump's administration. But the same people that have no problem with Jared Kushner receiving a $2.1 billion check from the Saudis, or the fact that Qatar is going to get a military base right here in the United States, or that Donald Trump received a $400 million jumbo jet gift, or that he gets a $5.5 billion resort over there. They have no problem with any of that stuff. But, oh, my God, Hunter Biden sold a $5,000 painting. Oh, my God. These are some of the worst people that America has to offer, period.
Without a doubt. And look, the smallest listening device right now will fit on a butterfly wing. How many listening devices you think were pre-installed in that Qatar-donated jet?
Oh, God, I can't even imagine. You know, I was hearing that it's going to cost upwards of somewhere around $1 billion just to clean through that entire jet to make sure none of that stuff is on there. And by the way, the taxpayers would be the one that would have to foot that bill. I'm telling you, Donald Trump is going to take that plane himself. I really believe that.
Well, I hope the young people in his administration, because he's not going to live forever. None of us do.
Let's hope not.
But I hope the younger people in his administration live long enough to see justice. I'm sure a couple of them are going to end up in The Hague, man. Have a great day.
All right, you too, my friend. Thank you for the phone call. 702-221-7283. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. Going to the YouTube Super Chat, if I may. Sir Seuss, thank you for your very generous donation. Sir Seuss says, I honestly believe that Trump is at least partially responsible for the stroke I had in June. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Sir Seuss. I hope you're feeling better now. There's no question that stress, anger, you build that inside of you. It's not good for your health, my friend. So, Sir Seuss, I hope you're making a full recovery, and we hope you're doing better, and we appreciate your support in the YouTube Super Chat. The number to call, again, if you want to be a part of the program, is 702-221-SAVE. And that number, whether you agree or disagree with me, if you're a MAGA supporter or not, but if you're a MAGA supporter, we welcome your phone calls here, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Carl. Carl is next on PTL. Hello, Carl.
Hey, Brian. Hope you're doing well.
I am.
Listen, you know I like to dig out the humor in certain situations if I can.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cash Patel thing, to me, the humor of this whole thing, although it's ridiculous, is, have you ever looked at Cash Patel? Do you think a woman who's decent looking, who's a nice lady, who's attractive, would go out with him unless he has a private government jet if he used his own little Volkswagen, do you think anybody would go out with him?
Carl, that's very unfair because I look at Melania Trump and I'm very confident that Melania Trump married Donald Trump for his lavish good looks. I'm sure, and lasting 13 seconds. I'm sure that's why Melania went after Donald Trump. What a stud this guy is, right? What a stud.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think with Kash Patel. He has to use look important and use a private jet and everything. That's the only way they go out with him.
Well, think about this for a moment. Again, I played the audio. Kash Patel, back in 2023, was going after Chris Wray, saying that he shouldn't have this G5 jet to go on vacations. In fact, he said he should be charged $15,000 every time he takes it. So wouldn't that apply to Kash Patel? Shouldn't he be charged $15,000 for getting laid, taking that jet to get laid? That's what he did.
Yeah. He should be charged with a lot more than that. But like 93% of Trump's whole cabinet should be charged for their infidelities and their crookedness and their stupidity and their non-competency in their position.
Carl, you're not going to get an argument from me, my friend. I appreciate your phone call. Thank you very much. All right, let's see. Who are we going to next here? 702-221-7283. Let's go to Cheryl. Cheryl is next up on PTL. What's up, Cheryl?
Hey, I'm wondering why the Democrats always get blamed for the shutdown of the government when clearly the Republicans have the majority, and they are representing the Republicans are representing that we are trying to get health care for illegal immigrants when that is false information.
Well, I'll tell you why. I agree with you. I'll tell you why. Because Republicans never take responsibility for anything. Did they take responsibility for the 2019 government shutdown? Of course they didn't. Republicans never take responsibility for anything. I could go way back to the war in Iraq. Let's just start there. We were told there were going to be weapons of mass destruction. He took intel, George W. Bush, from the Israeli government. Thousands of innocent soldiers of ours lost their lives, brave soldiers. Hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqis lost their lives. Did George W. Bush ever hold a press conference and say, oops, we got it wrong. I'm sorry. Faulty intelligence. My bad. You know, and we move ahead now to the times we are living in today, where Donald Trump said when he ran for office a second time, I will end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. Now Donald Trump waves his hands in the air and said, if they want to fight, let them fight. And he says, I was just being sarcastic. And then we talk about what is going on in Israel, in Gaza, and the war between Hamas and Israel. Donald Trump, just a few weeks ago, it's funny how these stories just go away, don't they? I told you he was full of crap. When Donald Trump said there's peace in the Middle East and the war is over, a ceasefire was broken by both parties within a week.
Exactly. And I really think that I really think Israel has their hand in our government. I really do.
Oh, I agree. I agree 100%. I think, it's proven that if you just give Donald Trump a crown and flatter him a little bit, he'll give you whatever you want. Look at what he did for Vladimir Putin. They rolled out the red carpet in Alaska for Vladimir Putin. What did America get out of that meeting besides spending a lot of money in the charades of the jets that were flying overhead on taxpayer dollars? What did America get out of that meeting?
Anything.
Nothing, exactly.
Absolutely nothing.
They appeased Vladimir Putin, and Putin is playing Donald Trump like the orange turd fiddle that he is.
Exactly. And the fact that he sat there on 60 Minutes last night and told Nora O'Donnell that he beat those charges is utter lie.
Well, everything out of his mouth is a lie. He makes it like the economy is great, where you talk to any economist who is not into the partisan politics will tell you we're headed towards a recession, most likely. The prices are going up, virtually almost everything in the supermarkets. Your 401ks have not doubled. That is also a complete and utter lie. He talks about the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that he's gotten from these foreign adversaries, yet he never shows any evidence of that either. It's just sickening. The only promise that he kept to his bigoted supporters, many of them, were pardoning a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists, some of whom beat police officers with their own batons. He did do that. He did do that.
That's horrible. I mean, I sat there and watched it. I am almost 70 years old. I have worked since I was 15 years old, paying into Social Security. That's all I've got is income now, is Social Security and Medicare. And if they take that away from us, I am going to lose everything I've worked my entire life for.
Can you imagine what so many people all over the world think about us now? Think about this. All the people that Vladimir Putin is responsible for ending their lives, all those people that Vladimir Putin helped execute, and then the United States, or in this case, Donald Trump, is rolling out the red carpet for this guy and praising him and putting on a charade show for him. Can you imagine what people across, I think of Otto Warmbier too, the young man, the innocent young man, sadly, who lost his life because of Kim Jong-un and that horrible regime, right? And I remember when in Donald Trump's first administration, when Otto Warmbier's body, even though he was technically still alive, he was pretty much a vegetable, and I hate using that term, but he was. And the parents were obviously so upset. And then and I'm not blaming Donald Trump for what Kim Jong-un and his people did to Otto Warmbier by any stretch of the imagination. But what I am saying is that Kim Jong-un said, I had nothing to do with it. Donald Trump said, I don't think Kim Jong-un had anything to do with this, because he told me so. He does the same thing with Vladimir Putin, right? And I just imagine what Otto Warmbier's parents must think of Donald Trump. Imagine what all these families that have lost loved ones. It's like if you're a family member that lost a loved one with the Iraq War, what you think of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, right? I mean, it's so sickening to me, and it's so disgusting the way that this man is treating brown people in this country, immigrants in this country. But yet, if you're from South Africa and you're white, 100% white, they're refugees. They're seeking asylum, so they're welcome to come in. What about all the other refugees all over the world that are brown? Is he opening up? Is he putting his? That's the argument that these idiots on. I'm sorry, I shouldn't name call here. It's the argument that one of Tim Pool's co-hosts was making to me too, I think, was that, these are people that were refugees that are seeking asylum. Okay. Is he doing that for anybody else that's brown in the world? That's the point that I was trying to make. It's like they're so complicit, they just don't understand.
I swear, I think he has to be living in fantasy land, because he's not living in the America that we people are living in day to day, who have to go to the grocery store. We have to choose whether to buy meat or vegetables.
Yeah.
We can't put a decent meal on the table. I can't go to the grocery store in my little bitty town and walk out of there with not spending over $200, and that doesn't even last me a week.
Well, according to
back in the 80s, I could spend $60 and feed a family of 5.
Absolutely. And listen, I'm not saying the Democrats are perfect, but certainly they want you to be able to afford food and be able to put food on the table, while Republicans want to give the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%. It's so cut and dry, my dear. I'm sorry to hear you say that, and I do appreciate you. Thank you for the phone call. Let's go to Dan, 702-221-7283. Dan is next. Hello, Dan.
Hey, how you doing, Brian? Hey, listen, man, I catch you on YouTube and stuff. I think you can take a break here. I'm not a MAGA or none. You can take it easy here. I just want to talk to you and your listening audience, really.
That's fine.
I'm a 66-year-old guy. I'm retired. I have a pension, and I have Social Security right now. I put in deferred comp when I was working, and I'm retired, and I'm okay. But I know all the stuff around us. My generation, I'm a boomer. I feel bad that people younger than me don't have this opportunity. They don't have jobs where their pensions and benefits. A lot of the jobs that are offered in this country are unfortunately jobs that are just paycheck jobs. And a lot of people, that's why they have to live paycheck to paycheck, no benefits, no health care. These were important things that I had when I was working. And every American should have this. I don't care if you're in the
which is the party that wants to take that away from people?
Well, it's the Republican Party, but I don't blame. Listen, this is another thing, man. I don't blame Republican Party, and I don't think that the Trump supporter. Let me finish it. As Trump supporter is our enemy. As working Americans, our biggest enemy are the billionaires and millionaires, like Bernie talks about. Those are our biggest enemies.
So I hear you. So I hear you. I understand, but it's not the billionaires that are giving themselves the biggest tax breaks of all time. It's Donald Trump and the Republicans that are doing that.
Correct, right. But why are they doing that? Because of Citizens United. We have to, as Americans, I don't care who the hell
But hold on, can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question, if you don't mind, sir. Here's the reason why I blame Republicans, because they appease to Donald Trump and they're afraid of losing power. and they know that the big and beautiful bill is going to hurt their constituents. They know. And guess what? The Democrats know it also. It's why they voted against it. But almost every single Republican has voted for the big and beautiful bill. And that's why I say I blame the Republican Party, because you don't have very few, if any, Republicans that are standing up and saying, hey, this is not a good bill. This is wrong. Why do I have to say that I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene, which, by the way, I do on this? Now, she claims she didn't read the bill. She might be telling the truth. I don't know. But she's the voice of reason for the Republican Party. No, I blame the Republican Party. They've allowed Donald Trump, a con man, to take over their party. I blame the Republican Party. I do.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll give you that, sir. I'll give you that 100%. I'll give you that. I'm gonna put that in the plus side on the thing. But we also have to understand what the Supreme Court did and these millionaires and billionaires did, irregardless of Donald Trump. Okay, let's say there was somebody else in there. We wouldn't have all the craziness and everything, all the criminality, and that's for a whole other call. But what we'd have is you'd still have this system where these billionaires are basically paying off of our politicians, dude. And this is what I'm talking about.
I agree.
Real quick. And that's the danger, because look, I'm going to run for a House seat, or not even a federal. I'm going to vote for a county. I'm going to run in county, right? Real local government. And I want to run, and they're going to tell you that seat's going to cost you $500,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go do it. You go and you give me $100. You're my best friend.
Listen, I completely agree with you. I don't disagree with you. Unfortunately, there's a lot of wealthy people in this country that can buy a lot of different things, and you can buy politicians. I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. So I think we're in agreement here. I just put maybe a little bit more responsibility on the Republicans than you do, but I agree, and I understand with what you're saying. Money is the root of all evil, as they say, right? Certainly in the world of politics. Let's see, who are we going to next here? Let's go to Jeremy. Jeremy is next up on PTL. Hey, Jeremy, what's going on?
Let's see, who we going to?
Jeremy, go ahead.
Hey, brother.
What's up?
Glad to be able to call in again. I just actually wanted to call out a bunch of the MAGA idiots, that like to run their mouths in the audience, especially online. And I'd love for them to be able to call in and explain to everybody, including yourself, how suddenly Trump no longer has control of the purse, and how it's automatically back in Congress's hands. Because, for the past 10 months, he's been pretty much destroying everything Congress has done, using Doge. And now that, these reserve funds are up that can actually be released to help people on SNAP, now he doesn't have control. But then even more ironic is an article that just posted today from Tulsa World News about how Trump is now cutting $1 billion in clean energy spending.
I'll take it a step further for you, and I agree with what you just said. Do you remember, I'm sure you do, January 6th, so many MAGA Republicans blame Nancy Pelosi for not calling in the National Guard. But isn't it interesting that Donald Trump was president, and he's president now, and at the snap of a finger, he can call in the National Guard into Washington, D.C. Don't you find that kind of convenient and interesting? It's funny. They didn't ask for Nancy Pelosi's help to call in the National Guard to D.C. the second time around, did they? It's such a joke. He could have called in the National Guard on January 6th. He didn't. He sat on his ass for 5 hours and then put out a video that called them heroes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and patriots. But they blame Nancy Pelosi for that. They blame everybody else but themselves. And then when the ball is in their court, for lack of a better term, because you're talking about these funds that could be used to help people, all of a sudden, I have no control over it.
Absolutely. I agree completely. And main reason why I called in is because, Bugs Bunny in the chat wanted to call me out for some odd reason and wanted me to give you a call. So, yo, Blossom Lizard, suck it. Y'all have a good one, bro.
Right, thank you. I don't know who that is, but any Bugs Bunny can call into this show and have a conversation with me. As I say, any of the Trumpers out there, there's many of them out there. They'll talk a tough game on social media and call me names, but then they're not willing to call into the show and have a debate. I get this from people even on the streets. They'll wear a MAGA hat and they'll be walking around at some sort of rally. But then when I confront them and ask them questions, they don't want to have a conversation. They'll hold up a sign at some event and protest. But then when a MAGA, comes up to me or I come up to them and I want to have a conversation with them, they don't want to do it because they're cowards. That's why. And they're not very intelligent people. Yes, I said it, ladies and gentlemen. Many, not all, but many of the people who still support Donald Trump are just very ill-informed, uneducated people. They get their news from Jesse Waters and Mike Lindell and Alex Jones. These are not informed people. They're very dumb. I'm sorry. I'm just calling it for what it is. But hey, You guys can prove me wrong. I'm sure there's a ton of intellectual people out there that still support Donald Trump. You're welcome to call into the show. 702-221-7283. And the number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 702-221-SAVE. All right, let's see here. Who's next up on PTL? Why don't we go to Jeff? Jeff is next up on PTL. Hey, Jeff, what's going on? Hey, Jeff.
How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
Breaking news. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be on The View.
Yeah, I knew that.
Tomorrow.
Yep, I saw that last week. Yep. She is going to be appearing on The View tomorrow, which should be very interesting. She's certainly making the rounds on some left-leaning shows, and I think we all could agree that The View is definitely left-leaning. Again, it's shocking to me, but we can come up with multiple reasons why Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing this, but she's certainly, I'm certainly in agreement with her when it comes to criticism of Republicans and Mike Johnson. I'm certainly in agreement with her when it comes to food stamps, particularly her stance on healthcare. I probably disagree with her on everything else, but I do find it very interesting that she's going to be doing The View tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. You're out, and like Ted Cruz is supporting Jimmy Kimmel, and Marjorie Taylor Greene's going on The View, and that interview yesterday of 60 Minutes with Trump. You know what he said? He said the reason the stock market is doing so well is because of his tariffs.
Did you see Marjorie, by the way, on Bill Maher? I thought she did a pretty good job on Bill Maher over the weekend. She sounded somewhat reasonable.
Yeah. But again, the stock market's not doing good because of his tariffs. It's because AI is, one AI company is merging with another AI company, and they're just AI companies are buying one from the other. It's like a bubble that they say is a stock market, and Trump has nothing to do with his tariffs, are probably hurting the economy more than helping.
This is par for the course with the MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump. If anything goes wrong, during his presidency, he'll blame it on Joe Biden. If anything goes right, he'll take all the credit for it. This is what Trump and his administration do. It's pretty simple to me. Number to call again if you want to be a part of the show is 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of Trump supporters out there that will talk a tough game on social media, but they don't want to have a debate. But that's par for the course for me. I'm used to it on this show. It's always fun to catch up with the MAGA destroyer. Let's go to Darlene. Darlene is next up on PTL. Hey, what's up, Darlene?
Hey, Brian. First of all, Brian, if it's okay with you, I want to wish my husband a very happy birthday today and thank him for putting up with me because, believe me, a lot of people couldn't do it. So I give him credit for that.
What's his name?
John.
John. Well, happy birthday, John. Amen to that.
Anyway, Brian.
Yes, sir.
We need to talk.
Yes.
Okay, now listen. I want everybody to listen to me. MAGAs, listen to me. I don't know if you guys seen it, but I'm gonna set it straight right now. Let me tell y'all, Donald Trump was on Fox right before the shutdown, and the host asked him, "How are you going to get 60 votes? What are you going to do about all this?" This is what Trump said. First of all, he told the Fox people, he said, "I told my people do not associate with any of them. Do not talk to the Democrats or anything. It's on tape." And second of all, he said, the host lady said, "Well, how are you going to get 60 votes?" Donald Trump sat there in that chair and said, "I'm not worried about it because I'll just take care of it somehow." So I want everybody to quit saying it's the Democrats' fault about the shutdown. It's on tape.
It's obviously not a Democrat shutdown. I've given so many different examples and reasonings for it. The problem is a lot of these brainwashed Republicans don't even understand what's in the big and beautiful bill. By the way, apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't even know what was in it when she voted for it. I would ask her about that. But they don't even know what's in the big and beautiful bill. And there's nothing beautiful about it. It's sick. It's the big sick bill. Giving tax breaks to the top 1%, taking billions of dollars away from SNAP benefits and people that desperately need it. And of course, I talk about this, the Medicaid stuff over and over and over again. I appreciate the call, Darlene, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I talk about healthcare all the time on this show, and it just reminded me. Let me be very clear on this. I care about my listeners, whether you have an R next to your name or a D next to your name. And I'm really proud to be teamed up with a company called Chapter. So Chapter is a company that will give you free and unbiased Medicare help. It is risk-free. It's free advice. And guess what? If you're on the right plan, they'll tell you you're on the right plan. Here's the best part. They save people on average somewhere around $1,100 a year, which is awesome, right? It's awesome. And you're going to get your options from Chapter in under 20 minutes. And like I said, if you're already on the right plan, they're going to tell you. It's risk-free. You see the number on the bottom of your screen. It's a free service. 212-461-4078. That's 212-461-4078. There also is a URL underneath there on the screen, askchapter.org/limits. Give Chapter a call. Open enrollment now through December 7th. Get the help that you need for free as a listener of this show. Give Chapter a call. Thank you very, very much. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283. It is interesting because the MAGAs, they're always out there, but they're always hiding under a rock, and they're cowards, and they're afraid to call into a show and have a debate. I'm used to that. That's why when I'm invited on a right-wing podcast show like the Tim Pool Show, or I'm invited on Pierce Morgan. I've heard that I might get back on Pierce. They might have me back on next week. I like debating people on the right. I don't understand people that are Twitter warriors that will tweet stuff out or go into a chat, but they're not willing to have a conversation. It's either one of two things. Either they're scared because they know they get destroyed in debate, or they're just cowards and they're not intellectually capable of having a debate. It's one or the other, either or. It's pathetic. But if you want to call in, 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. Let's go to what would be the word I would use to describe Leonard? My once a week, what would I don't know. What word would I use? The former lieutenant in North Las Vegas, or the host of Pushing the Limits that's going to be filling in for me Friday as I'm taking a plane to DC. I don't know, Leonard. How should I introduce you? I don't know.
It kind of sounds like you described me like a side piece. Gonna have to get me an apartment.
Well, listen, if that's the case, I will take Kash Patel's jet right away. Okay?
Hey, my brother, I just want to call in because I want to congratulate you on hitting 150,000 subscribers on YouTube, and they've been coming in by the thousands, and I'm thinking next year we're going to crack 300,000.
I hope so. I certainly hope so. I'm hoping maybe we can get to 200,000 sooner than later. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. We're very happy that the YouTube channel continues to grow. We are being now a lot more active on Facebook, a lot more active on TikTok, and we have some more big news we're going to be sharing with you next week. So yeah, we're expanding the show, and we like what we're doing. We're going to continue to do it, brother. We're going to continue to do it and make it happen.
Well, I just want to say thanks for the opportunity to say my piece once in a while. And I don't know what we're going to have to do to get these MAGAs and these conservative Republicans to call in. I don't know if we have to chat. Maybe we have to coddle them more than challenge them. I don't know, but I just don't know what they're afraid of. They have their talking points. Let's go. Call Brian. Let's go. Prove me wrong, bro.
They do have their talking points. Transgenders and drag queens are the will end society. They're indoctrinating our kids. Let's get rid of those books, and let's continue to throw out conspiracy theories about math teachers in Arizona. It's really
yeah, and starving children in November 2025 when we're the richest country in the world.
I know.
But we're starving our own people. Where does that sound like? That sounds an awful lot like dictatorship to me.
You're right, my friend, and you're right. And you're going to be filling in for me on Friday, and I appreciate that, Leonard, as always, my friend.
I look forward to it, and then I'll see you Wednesday in studio.
Sir. Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Leonard. Thanks for calling in. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff is next on PTL. Hello, Jeff.
Ryan, what's happening? Long time no chat.
What's up, Jeff?
So I'm embedded up here in war-ravaged Portland, and as you well know, it's burning to the ground. And nobody's talking about this, but Trump gave all of our water away when he turned on the faucet to send it down to Los Angeles to save that from burning to the ground. So can you please talk to these MAGA idiots and square that up, please? Because nobody's talking about it, Brian. It's an outrage.
Is Portland really burning to the ground with chickens and frogs? I didn't know that.
Well, that's what Trump says.
That's what he says. Yeah, it's burning to the ground. Hey, did you see Kristi Noem on that roof of that ICE facility looking down at like 5 protesters, and 3 of them were like chickens and frogs? Did you see it?
Yes. Did you see the meme that said "Alert from Chicago"? Somebody stole Kristi Noem's ass.
I did see that cosplay Noam. I mean, she really is an imbecile.
Yes.
I mean, she is a Halloween
Anyway,
costume in
that's it,
itself.
Brian.
What's that?
That's it, my friend. Have
All
a good
right.
one.
Thank you very much. Cosplay Noam. I mean, what a moron. What a moron. I'm telling you, that was beyond embarrassing. Can you imagine like working as an assistant for Kristi Noem and going up on that roof and looking down at the city is burning down when you see a couple chickens and a couple frogs? I mean, you want to tell me an embarrassing moment. Oh my God. Cosplay Kristi Noem. What an embarrassment. Her, can you imagine being in a room with her and Nancy Mace? Oh my God. Good grief. I'd have to have a few drinks just to listen to them. That chatter. Oh my goodness. 702-221-7283, the number to call, number on the bottom of your screen. Let's go to Adrian. Adrian is next up on PTL. Hey, Adrian, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian, how's it going?
Good.
As far as the subject of Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't believe she deserves any grace from Democrats or anyone. Yes, she's been, starting to sound like a human being as of lately, but at the same time, she was the loudest maggot during Donald Trump's campaign.
She was.
Even after he was elected, during Joe Biden's State of the Union speech, she was the loudest in the room, broke the rules by wearing that red hat, and enjoy it. You wanted this. So Democrats and even these left-leaning shows like The View, like you said, they shouldn't give her any grace. They should call her out.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So I understand. I understand what you're saying. Listen, let me be very clear on this. Marjorie Taylor Greene has done a lot of damage to this country. I don't think she's a very good person. When she does say things that I agree with, I'm going to say, okay, I agree with her. But let me be very clear on this. And listen, if she comes on the show either this week or next week, I would say this. Marjorie, does this have anything to do with the fact that Donald Trump refused to endorse you? Does that have anything to do with this? Why are you all of a sudden caring about health care now? Where were you in Donald Trump's first administration where Donald Trump was complaining about Obamacare but had no replacement plan? Why didn't you talk outspoken about it then? Now, I know what the answer is because now she's turning on Trump a little bit. And the reason why she is, again, is because he didn't support her. He didn't endorse her. That's what I think this is really all about.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And it just amazes me, just like how she, J.D. Vance, and many of the other maggots, they just flip like a light switch. Like, these people know deep down in their heart of hearts that they're wrong, man. So she should be called out for it. So
I agree. I don't disagree with you, and I appreciate the call, my friend. Also, I want to say, if you go on my website, which is pushingthelimits.live, you can make donations on there to help us keep the lights on. And I want to thank Julie, who made a very generous donation on pushingthelimits.live. Julie says, thanks, Brian. You are doing a great job. Well, thank you, Julie. Thanks to people like you, I'm able to do this every day. John on pushingthelimits.live, another very generous donation. And John says, Brian, I love what you do. Please keep up the great work. Thank you, John. So many nice people out there. And of course, the YouTube Super Chat is a way you can support and help what we do. But if you go to pushingthelimits.live, again, that's pushingthelimits.live, you'll see a little icon on the front page there that says donate. Take you less than 2 minutes, really. Doesn't matter what it is. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. Man, whatever you can afford, we so greatly appreciate your support of what we do here. And you're supporting independent media as well. Okay, number to call again, 702-221-7283. That number, 702-221-SAVE. And as Leonard correctly pointed out, we're very excited. We just passed 150,000 subscribers on YouTube. It feels like we just passed 50,000 earlier this year. So we're going strong there. And the best thing you can do with the YouTube page is keep giving us the thumbs up. Please continue to be interactive and tell other people about our page, whether it be the Facebook fan page. You might want to go on Facebook too, because we're putting a lot of reels up there now on the Facebook Pushing the Limits fan page, and we want to continue to grow that as well. So check me out and please follow me. For those of you that are watching on TikTok right now, for those of you that are watching on YouTube right now, for those of you that are listening on the AM/FM dial, do me a favor. If you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, please do so at PTL Radio Show. It's free. It's also free to follow me on Facebook. Not Brian Shapiro. You can follow me on my personal page, but I prefer you go on the Pushing the Limits fan page and follow me on Facebook, because we just started posting some extra stuff on there, and we'd appreciate if you could do that as well. That's how you can really help us. All right, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Shelly. Shelly is next up on PTL. What's going on, Shelly?
Hey, Brian.
Now let me get this logic and see if you can follow it, okay? Nancy Pelosi was responsible for calling in the National Guard on January 6th, right?
Correct.
That's what they're all saying.
That's not that's not true, but correct. That's what they're saying.
I know that.
Yeah.
Okay. But she can't tell him to get the hell out, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So I mean that makes no sense. He makes no sense.
Well, I think what Donald Trump does in his own mind, he's very predictable. Everything he says is to make himself look good.
I think it's projection.
Well, yeah, of course, a lot of it's projection, but you know, it's funny. People will say to me all the time, Tim Pool said this to me. He said, Brian, I think you're just emotional with it. Okay. So when someone, excuse me, when somebody is a lifelong abuser, when somebody attacks POWs and Gold Star families and women of color, if you don't show emotion and you don't lash out at people like that and you don't despise people like that, then quite frankly, I think there's something wrong with you.
There's something definitely wrong with you.
Yeah. So,
I agree.
So, you know, the attack is, oh, Brian, you're just emotional. You have Trump derangement syndrome. You know what my response is to that.
Yeah.
You know, I call out people every single day. Some people on the left, some people on the right. Now, Donald Trump happens to be the president of the United States. It just so happens that Republicans are in charge of the House and the Senate. Right. I don't always agree with Democrats, but the point of the matter is here, the excuse that they always make is you just have Trump derangement syndrome. And I've said the people that
do then. I would take it. I'll wear it with a badge of honor. Thank you.
I think they're deranged. I think you're complicit.
Yes.
If you still support this guy at a minimum, but yeah, I agree.
Okay, bye, honey. I'll let you go.
Right.
I know you got a lot.
Thank you, Shelley. Yeah, if we do get Marjorie Taylor Greene on the phone, it'd be nice to have Shelley call in and do her Marjorie. I don't think she would appreciate that, but maybe a Marjorie Taylor Greene impersonation. Thank you for the call, Shelley. I appreciate it. 702-221-7283. So we're just learning some information at the University of Virginia. Apparently there were, I told you guys I'd give you guys an update. We really haven't had one until now. We have some good news to report. Thank God, because of course, when I hear that there's an armed man or people on a university, of course, I'm going to think the worst. We should be worried, and I was. But we are learning now that the situation at the library there happens to be all clear. After an extensive investigation, police are saying they identified no evidence of an attack or threat on the grounds or nearby. The investigation into this false report is ongoing. Okay, so we're now learning that there were some false reports. Obviously, that's a crime. If you call in and call 911 and you say that there is somebody with a weapon and, you know, people are getting shot or what have you, that is a crime. Like I read a story, it was like a few weeks ago, a guy had illegally called 911 like over 300 times and they finally put him in jail. That's another thing I wanted to bring up because I watched some of these videos on YouTube. Don't ask me why. Sometimes they're entertaining, but you see these auditors all over the place. And by the way, I don't like these people. What I'm talking about is these people on YouTube who have channels who go around to different cities and they have their cameras and they put their cameras, you know, in people's faces and they record people because, as you know, they're not breaking the law, right? In public, you have the right to record. I know that. But they don't go to these places just to record people. They go to these places to get into confrontation. They go to these places so that people will call the police. Now, why is that a big issue? Besides just annoying people and putting your camera in people's faces, why is it, you know, worse than that? Well, because somebody calls 911 and instead of these police officers handling real crime, they have to come out, they have to tell these store owners and tell these people, yeah, they're on public property. They have the right to record you, whether it's annoying or not. And then these morons put these videos up on social media. Have you seen these videos? They put them up on social media and they have tons of followers. Some of these people, they make tons of money and they call themselves auditors. No, they're not auditors. They're scumbags. You make a living wasting taxpayer dollars trying to get into confrontations with people. Obviously, when you put a camera in somebody's face or you're recording somebody, sometimes people are going to feel uncomfortable. Now, I understand. Again, they're not breaking the law. And I understand that being rude isn't a crime. I'm not saying they're committing a crime. I'm just saying they're scumbags. And if I see any of these people, I will tell them that. You make money out of annoying people. You are scumbags. That's what you are. And you're allocating the money for law enforcement to come out there and have to tell people, well, what you're doing is legal. And you're wasting that could be used for fighting real crime. So I don't know. This is just like the way when I see these videos, sometimes people don't always handle cameras, people on the sidewalks very well. I'll give them that. But they're not there making tourist videos. They're not there to just be respectful and record stores from outside on a sidewalk. That's not why they're there. They're there to get into confrontation with people because that's what gets views on their YouTube channel, and that's how they make money. Now, I've interviewed some of these people before. I think they're all scumbags. Now, it's one thing if you're actually legitimately, making a tourist video. That would be one thing. But these people aren't doing that. They make money off of confrontation, and I just find these people to be despicable. Now, it's not usually the police that they have to educate here. It's usually citizens. Yes. Do I think that police officers should be educated? Yes. Do I think police officers should know the law of the land, where if you're conducting business in a post office, they should know the laws? Yes. Do I think that if you're a store owner and somebody is recording your store on a public sidewalk, they should know the law? Yes. But that's not why these auditors are out there. They claim, oh, I'm just here to educate people. Okay, if you're here to educate people, then why are you posting stuff on YouTube and making money? Why don't you donate all your money that you're making on YouTube to educating people? No, this is how these people make a living. And the videos that get the most views are not nice people that they educate. The videos that they make a lot of money are videos when there's confrontation with law enforcement, when there's confrontation with regular everyday people. Listen, if I'm eating a sandwich on a patio of a restaurant and somebody's 6 feet away from me recording me eating, that would make me feel uncomfortable. Now, I probably would ignore it, but it would make me feel uncomfortable. Making somebody feel uncomfortable is not against the law. It just makes you a douchebag. That's all. And I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make. I wanted to get some of these people on the show, by the way. I think it's like the Roth family. One of the guys' names, his last name is Roth, and he travels. I don't know, he's got this big beard. I don't know if you've seen him. And he travels the country with his son. His name is Roth, I think, his last name. He travels. I don't know if you've seen these guys. They travel the country just making money off of people that they irritate. I would love to get them on the show. So if anybody has any contact, please, of those people, Roth, I think is his last name, please email me. I'd love to get these guys on the show and tell them why I think they're complete scumbags. So I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I don't like these auditors. I think they give up. They make it life more difficult for police officers, and I think they make a lot of people feel very uncomfortable, and they make a lot of money in doing that. All right, so before we go, please check out my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. They have a great contest. It's called the Pass the Puck contest, where if you have a four of a kind on any machine, they give you a puck. If you keep it till the end of the period, you have a chance to win up to $500 in free slot play. That's right, $500. It's great food. It's great atmosphere. Check them out and tell them I sent you. I'm there all the time. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. We have some great guests lined up for you. Some interesting guests. We're planning on getting Marjorie Taylor Greene on the show. And by the way, this is not an impersonator. Okay. I want to be very clear on that. The actual Marjorie Taylor Greene, who helped facilitate George Santos getting a pardon. George Santos is also going to be joining us on the show Thursday. So I have a lot of questions for him. We'll talk about what his conversation was like with Donald Trump. And I don't know what it's like to be in solitary confinement, which I guess George was in for like over a month. So those are two very interesting guests that we will have in the remainder of the week. And we have Woodrow Johnson joining us in studio. I think that's Thursday as well. Part of the Young Republicans in Las Vegas here. Why would you be a young person and be a Republican? Well, we're going to ask Woodrow that in person. I'm sure it's going to be a really good debate. So plenty of that. As I said, if you want to keep the lights on here and you enjoy what we do here on the show, I would ask that you do one quick favor for me. If you see on the upper right-hand corner of your screen on YouTube, that takes you directly to my website. The website right there is on the bottom. It's pushingthelimits.live. We don't ask for much. Small donations, like what some people are doing in the YouTube super chat. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. Pushingthelimits.live. You'll see a little icon that says donate. take 2 minutes of your time. We'd really appreciate it if you can do that wholeheartedly. We would appreciate that a lot. We just passed 150,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're very happy about that. I think it's going to be 151 by the end of the day today. So we're very happy about that and the growth of PTL Nation. We appreciate that. On Friday, I'm flying out to Washington, D.C., and on Saturday, I'm going to be doing a live studio audience podcast debate with Tim Pool, Myron Gaines, and Alex Stein. I don't know what the update is, but I'm trying to get my friend JoJo from Jers out there as well. But that's going to be very, very interesting. All right, folks, we'll be back at it tomorrow, same time, same place. I appreciate all your support. I love you guys so much. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian